All right, this video might not be a half hour long because it's just, I just want to make kind of a quick point for anyone who's trying to get sober. So I got to be careful what I say in the first minute and a half, otherwise, they age restrict it, they demonetize it, and then nobody sees it, and then I may as well not even put it up. So, first off, thanks for the subs, thanks for the likes, thanks for the comments. Appreciate every single one of you. Thanks for the tips. Appreciate every single one of you. And thanks for the Patreon support. Appreciate every single one of you. In my opinion, my Patreon's the best $5 you'll ever spend. As far as I know, I'm the only person who's actually putting out useful information on Patreon. You want to escape the matrix? Go on my Patreon. And there's a lot of reasons I'm not putting it on YouTube. One of them being I'm not trying to have that be my whole thing. I do stand-up comedy, I do entertainment. You know what I mean? What I'm doing on Patreon is not really entertainment. It's more about understanding the world we live in and how to avoid the traps being set for us all over the place. So, just go look at my Patreon, see if it's something you're interested in. You can see what it's about without having to pay for it. You can see what's up there. So this video is going to be about what's the hardest part about getting sober. So for me, really, it's the whole state of mind. That's the real trick. Now, they say that you can't force someone to be sober, to do what's right, and it's true. You really can't. Nothing under the sun would have made me sober up until I finally just decided that I'm done. I don't care. Nothing is going to stop me at this point because I'm done. I came to the realization that if I want to evolve further in life, I'm going to have to let this shit go, because being bogged down in the opiates, you just can't do anything with your life except chase that shit around and waste all your money on it. That's all. When you're on it, that's all you can do. That's how it was for me. That's how it was for everyone I knew. And what was really shocking to me is how everyone I knew who was on it, they had every intention of just staying on it forever. And that's why most of them are dead now. Because you need to have something else to focus on. That's the real trick. So for me, it was getting up off the street, getting my money up, and getting back to doing stand-up comedy or doing YouTube or doing something constructive with my life, something creative that I could make a living doing. That's how it was for me. I knew that as long as I was spending every ounce of energy and money chasing heroin around, I wasn't going to be able to do anything else with my life. And it doesn't matter how much money you have when you're on something like heroin, because it's going to take all your money. That's what it does. The more you do, the more you need. That it starts off cheap, but as your tolerance goes up, it gets more and more expensive, and it happens really fast. It's like, in the beginning, you're spending $10 a day to get high. Next thing you know, you're spending $40 a day to get high. And that's as high as I could ever get with it, because I couldn't afford to do more than that. Let's see if is this cop pulling in here? The fuck? Oh, no. No, I guess not. I don't know. So, it's not like I'm doing anything illegal. There's another cop up there. What the fuck? Anyways, so that completely threw me off. Isn't that ridiculous that we live in a society where you got these cops that you got to watch out for? I'm not even doing anything illegal, and I'm so trained to be watching the cops. Like, what the this world really pisses me off. Go on my Patreon if you want to understand how to escape the matrix. Seriously. Like, Andrew Tate's charging people like $50 a month for that shit. Look, I'm a fan of Andrew Tate. He's entertaining, but the information he's giving out, he's just teaching you how to be a salesman. If you really want to learn how to be a salesman, you're probably better off listening to the Wolf of Wall Street. What's his name? Jordan Belfort, because he's a better salesman than Andrew Tate. I'm a fan of both of them. I find them both entertaining. But anyways, so what was I have no idea what I was even talking about. So, oh yeah, there's like cops everywhere. What the so, yeah, the main trick to getting off of heroin or to getting off of anything, alcohol, whatever. My father was an alcoholic. My brother was an alcoholic. I was on heroin. I've got a lot of cousins who are, I don't know how we all got to this position, but you know what I mean? But so, and this is for anyone who's on anything. Look, you've got to learn to just let it go. Do you want to move forward in life? Figure out what you want out of life. It's like getting what you want isn't hard in this life. What's hard is figuring out what you want. Now, if you don't know what you want, just focus on getting rich. You'll figure it out. You know what I mean? So, if you got nothing else to focus on, then why not just devote all your energy into making as much money as possible? Like, what else is there to do? You know what I mean? And I know money isn't the answer to everything, but it's something to do. It's something to aim for. It gives you a purpose. You know what I mean? So if you don't know what to do with your life, just try to get rich and do it in an honest way. Don't be, you know what I mean? Because what's more important than money is how you feel about yourself. So don't go around just screwing everyone over or doing, or doing terrible things that are going to bother you in the future. What's the most important thing, in my opinion, is inner peace. So a lot of people think they want to be rich. They think they want to be partying. They think they want all these girls. None of that is going to make you happy. I learned that a long time ago. It doesn't, none of it solves anything. When you're sitting there by yourself, you're still, what's up?
What's up with the popo?
I don't know. Is that, they're not for here, is it? Yeah, everyone's wondering what's up with the fucking cops. But, so, yeah, look, everyone thinks, what everyone really wants is inner peace. You know what I mean? Being able to sleep at night, being able to look at yourself in the mirror, being able to sit alone in peace with no distractions, no negative thoughts bothering you. That's the real key to happiness, if you ask me. And you know what I mean? And it's so hard in this society because this entire thing is literally designed to do the exact opposite. And I explain it on Patreon. This whole video has turned into a Patreon commercial, which was not my intention. My intention here is I've got friends in New York who are still doing this stuff and flushing their lives down the toilet, and I'm trying to get through to these people. So here's the thing. You got to let all that bullshit go. Let it stay in the past. It's the past. Look to the future. What do you want out of life? Figure that out. Once you figure that out, go get it. And once you know what you want, if you devote all your energy and strength and time and resources into getting something, you're going to get it. It's just a matter of determination. If you are determined to make something happen, I guarantee you will make it happen. I mean, I used to be scared out of my wits. I used to, like I said in the previous video, I used to watch open mic comedy on YouTube and be scared just watching it on YouTube. Now I do stand up, you know what I mean? I haven't done it in months, and I'm still not that comfortable on stage, but I do stand up and I do it well. So it's like, for me to be able to do that, you can do whatever it is that you want to do. I can tell you that much, because for me to do that was, and I didn't just do stand-up in the clubs. I did stand-up comedy on the train. I did things that I never thought in a million years that I would have the nerve to do, but you just don't know until you try. So that's my point. So here's the thing. Start focusing on the future, figure out what you want, and dedicate all your energy and resources towards that, and I guarantee you'll get it. I don't care what it is. But you got to have the right state of mind. The clincher for me, and I've told this story in previous videos. I kind of want to keep this video a little bit short, so I'll tell it real quick. So what was happening with me was I could never get up. I could never afford a really expensive heroin habit. The most I could afford would be like 4 bags a day. So whenever I would hit 4 bags a day, I would kick it cold turkey. I would just be miserable for 4 or 5 days. Fortunately for me, the withdrawal would never last more than 4 or 5 days, and it would peak on the 3rd day. So it was something I didn't enjoy doing, but it was something that I knew I could handle and that I'd been through a bunch of times. And once I discovered Suboxone, it made kicking a lot easier, because then I would take a little piece of Suboxone, maybe a half a piece or a quarter of a piece, and that would get me through the withdrawal. And then after 5 days or so, the Suboxone would be out of my system, and I could go back to doing heroin. Only now it's going to cost me only $10 a day instead of 40 or 50. So that's what I did for a long time. I would do heroin, get myself up to a habit I couldn't afford. I'd do a little piece of Suboxone, I'd kick it, and then I'd get back on heroin. And I did that for maybe about a year. And then I started going back and forth pretty frequently because I kind of knew I wanted to quit heroin, but I just couldn't let it go. I loved it too much. So what ended up happening was I did some sub, and apparently I didn't wait long enough because I went and got a bundle of heroin. This is right before the winter in New York. I know the winter is going to be hard. I know I'm not going to make a whole lot of money in the winter doing my portraits. It doesn't do that well in the winter. It's hard to get people to stop to get their picture drawn when it's 30 degrees out. So I knew I needed to hang on to every penny, but I wanted to do some heroin. So I spent $60 out of my whole net worth at this time was maybe $100. And so I spent most of it on a bundle of heroin, and I'm thinking, I'm just going to do this for the week. I'll be killing it out there with the portraits because I'm going to be high as a kite, and I'm going to be real outgoing, and everything's going to be fine. I'll make the money back this week. So I get the bundle. I'm sitting there in my little dump of a room in the Bronx, staring out the window at a brick wall. And I do 1 bag of dope, and I'm sitting there waiting for it to kick in. Nothing. I do another one. I'm like, well, that's fine. My two bags will do it. Nothing. I do another one. Another one. Apparently, I didn't wait long enough from the last time I did Suboxone. I had just gotten too comfortable going back and forth between heroin and Suboxone. And I sat there and I did 8 or 9 bags out of this bundle, which would kill anyone. It would kill a horse. If you gave a horse like a gram of heroin into its system all at once, it would die. And I'm not even the type where I'm not the type, like, there's some of these people who have these insane tolerances where they can do ridiculous amounts of whatever, and it like barely has an impact on them. I was never like that. It never took more than a bag or 2 to get me high, unless I got up to like 4 bags. But so I sat there, and the Suboxone prevented it from working. After 8 or 9 bags out of this bundle, which I thought was going to last me a week, and I was going to use it to help me make money, it didn't do what it was supposed to do. Finally, after I guess it was the 8th bag, I started to feel a little bit, but it wasn't a real heroin high. And I wanted to save some of it because I wanted to go out and do my portraits while I was high to try to make more money, But that was another thing I kind of avoided doing when I was on heroin. I never mixed the drugs with making money. I tried not to, So I never did stand up while on heroin because I didn't want to be in that habit of doing that shit every time I go up on stage. There's something going on around here with the cops. I don't know. But they keep pulling in with the lights, and then they're pulling out, and there's like multiple cops over there. Clearwater, you never know what's going to happen around here. Someone might get shot. You just never know. We're right outside of Greenwood, which is not as bad as it used to be, but it used to be a pretty bad place. But anyways, so I did most of this bundle, and I was sitting there with this weird high. It wasn't a real heroin high. It was strange. It was weird. It wasn't the way it's supposed to be, because the Suboxone was like mostly blocking it. And I'm not even sure. I might have even done the last week. I don't really remember. But it didn't do what it was supposed to do. And I just sat there feeling guilty for wasting my money and not even getting high about it. Now I've got to spend the next couple of days out doing my portraits totally sober, which I'm not going to be able to, you know, even enjoy. I didn't get to enjoy my bundle at all. And this was going to be like my last time doing dopes. But that was like one of the final nails in the coffin when that experience. Then the next day I did Suboxone early in the morning. I ended up in precipitated withdrawal. I tell the story in one of my previous videos if you want to see it. But it was a nightmare. And that was one of the last straws for me. I was like, so then for a couple of months I didn't touch heroin. But then me and my roommate in the Bronx kept getting into fights. Eventually he pulled a butcher knife on me, and I'm like, let me get out of here before one of us gets killed. So I left the apartment, and I'm confident living out on the street at this point. I'm good at it. I know what I'm doing. I have good enough equipment. And I was planning on ditching the apartment anyway. It's a long story, but maybe I'll do a video about that, why I ditched my last apartment in the Bronx. That would make a good video. Because, yeah, there's all kinds of conflict, and maybe that'll be the next video. So I ditched the apartment. I go back out on the street, and I was like, I wasn't really planning on doing any heroin, but what kept happening was, because I was on Suboxone pretty steady at this point, but what kept happening was everyone I knew was on heroin, and people would be like, yo, I'm going to get a bundle, you want a bag or two? And I'd be like, yeah, all right, fuck it, and I'll hold on to it till tomorrow. I won't do any sub, and maybe it'll get me high. And I don't know how many times I did that, maybe 4 or 5. Never did nothing. The sub always blocked it. I was on Suboxone steadily at this point. And so after wasting enough money doing that shit, I was like, I'm done. I don't care anymore. I'm not. And this was the real clincher right here. Someone I knew who used to sell heroin came out of Rikers Island. He was in jail for a year or something. He comes out to Strawberry Fields, and he's kind of starting to try to hang out with me again. But he don't realize that I quit heroin, So he's sitting across from me, and he sells heroin. So I know he's got it, and I also know that he's probably willing to give it to me for free because I ain't seen him in a while. But I didn't take it. And he hung out for the next... I didn't even ask him. He didn't ask me. Like, he wasn't sure if I was still on heroin or whatever, so he didn't want to be like, yo, you pushing it on me or whatever. But so... after he hung out for a couple of days, and I never once asked him for dope, and that was like my final test. I know he would have gave it to me for free. I know he had good stuff because I've known him for a long time. But so that was kind of the final test. After that, I barely even thought about heroin. And then one day, I tell this in the previous video, I was walking down 71st Street on my way to work, and it hit me like a bolt of lightning out of the sky that, like, you haven't even thought about heroin in like a year. So apparently you're over it. Once you make that decision to where I'm not messing with this shit no more, and it just kind of leaves your mind, that's it. Well, once you're really solidified in your mind that I'm done, and you can even have it sitting across from you for free and you still don't do it. Once you're in that state of mind, it's a wrap. It's done. And you're past it. So even though I had been on Suboxone, which helped a lot with not caring about heroin, and the other thing was I was smoking weed every night, and that kind of became my focus. So it helps to smoke weed, believe it or not. It did for me. I mean, I can't speak for anyone but myself. But the Suboxone and the weed, and I always kept the Suboxone at a minimum. I've got videos on how to get off Heroin, how to get off Suboxone. I'm not going through all that again in this video. But the main hurdle is you have to just get the state of mind where that shit is in the past, and whatever is in my future is you got to pick something. Pick something to focus on. My focus was getting up off the street, getting my money up, and getting back to doing stand-up comedy, and eventually doing a YouTube, which, you know what I mean? These were the things I was focused on to, this is the future. This is what I want. That's back there. That's not what I want. Do I want to go backwards or do I want to go forwards? So, that helped keep me motivated. And when he was sitting across from me with the free heroin for me, I was thinking to myself, do I want to go back to the past or do I want to keep moving in the future? Because this is a test right now. And if I fail this test, I'm going to knock about a year off my life. You know what I mean? I'm going to be, it's just going to set me back about a year. And I didn't want to do it. There was a part of me that was nostalgic and wanting to do, hey, one last time, whatever. But nope, I didn't do it. And so that's it. So the hardest part of getting sober is getting in the right state of mind where you've got to pick a future and focus on that and leave the heroin in the past or the alcohol or whatever it is. Because the reality is, if you're honest with yourself, it's not making you happy. It's just short-term pleasure, which costs a lot of money. And I'm happier now, a lot happier now that I'm not on it. And I have no interest in going back to that. To be honest, I don't really understand how people go a couple of years without it and then they go back to it. I don't know how that happens, because it's like, I remember what it was like to be on it, and I don't want to go back there. I'm a lot happier now. I'm a lot healthier now, and I'm just not interested in it. You know what I mean? I'm more interested in getting my money up to get a nice 4Runner to live in so I can travel around the country and film that for YouTube. And then eventually I might ride a bike from New York to LA. And we'll see. I got a lot of things I want to do, but right now my focus is just getting my money up, So speaking of that, if you are interested in escaping the Matrix, go on my Patreon, because my Patreon is, that's, YouTube is up and down. My Patreon is steady. You know what I mean? I can rely on my Patreon. I can't rely on YouTube. So that's why I'm trying to get everyone over there. And well, the other thing is, it's not just another version of my YouTube. It's totally different. Just go look at it and see if it's something you're interested in, because it's not for everyone. I'll tell you that much. It's not for everyone. But it is for the people who want to know how to navigate through this insane world that we're in. And I mean, look, it's $5 a month. And then if you're not happy after the first month, you don't even have to pay for it again. You just, you know what I mean? You're only risking $5. But anyways, yeah, so I guess that's the end of this video. But I'm telling you, you're going to have to let the past go and focus on the future. That's how you get sober. That's it. It's that simple. I don't care what you're on. It could be alcohol, opiates, the Xannies, the Klonopins, whatever. Don't think you need any of that shit, because the reality is you don't. You need to realize that life is not a bad thing. It's a blessing, and it can be fun. You just got to stop stressing over everything and letting everything drive you nuts. That's how people end up just trying to escape reality. It's like, dude, this whole thing is a game. So when you're on something, you're on the sideline. You're not even in the game anymore. You know what I mean? Do you want to be in the game, or do you want to sit there and watch the world go by? You know what I'm saying? Anyways, so I guess that's the end of this video. Maybe the next video will be about why I ditched my last apartment. There's a lot of videos I want to make, and there's a whole other set of type of videos I want to make, but I've got to set it all up. But anyways, I guess I will see y'all on the next one. The next Patreon video will be up either tomorrow or the next day. I'm going to try to film it this evening. Anyways, I'll see y'all either in a couple of days on here or Patreon. So everybody have a good one.